Organized religion can be a force of division and resistance to change, but among people of different faiths, it can also be the opposite, a force of collaboration to work for social justice. One event to encourage that collaboration is an interfaith community meeting taking place tomorrow night, Faith and Justice in Society, Jewish, Christian, and Muslim Perspectives. The event's organized by A Faith That Does Justice. We'd like to welcome its founder, director, and president, Father Peter Gyves. Thank you very much for being with us, Father.
Thank you for having me.
First, go back to the interfaith idea that got you started on this organization.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, really it started in San Diego, and it comes out of my experience having lived in El Salvador during the civil wars down there in the 80s, early 90s. And what we're trying to do is really replicate to some extent the experience that I had there, where really it's faith lived in action, faith that moves beyond a church, a temple, a mosque, to lived in society with values that would really contribute to social justice within society.
Now, El Salvador seems a long way from the United States, but these days, let's say, especially with sources of division that you're confronted with, how does that transfer? How does that translate to what you're doing here in Boston?
Yeah, well, I think, we live in a society right now where there's tremendous division politically, ideologically, and I think what we're trying to do is take people of faith, whether that be Jewish, Christian, or Muslim, and offering dignity to each person's faith and really trying to offer a sense of adult faith where people can live that faith beyond dogma, dogmatic belief, and then moving that into society where I believe most of these faiths would really honor the idea that we really do need to be active in society and work for justice, a world that's fair for all people.
Well, this event tomorrow night, I imagine one thing people can get educated about maybe is the strong social justice component in all of these different faiths that we just mentioned a little while ago.
Exactly, and I think what we're going to hear tomorrow is exactly that, the Jewish perspective, the Christian perspective, and the Muslim perspective. They may all be coming from a different angle, but I think what we're going to hear is that all of these faiths, there's really a mandate to work for justice in society, a world that is fair.
Now, of course, one of the things you're also learning, and I think you've been experienced at this for quite a long time, is that you don't want people to be focused on conflict, you want them to be focused on collaboration. How do you make that happen? How do you get things to swing in that direction?
Well, an interesting question. What we do at the meetings is we have round tables and we control the seating. We try to put at tables people of different faiths, people of different races, people of different languages. We have simultaneous translation at the meeting, so someone, for example, speaking Spanish and not understanding English, we have a simultaneous translation that they can understand exactly what's going on. And we pose questions after the main talk. We pose some questions at the round tables with 8 people at a table and try to encourage dialogue with the idea of breaking down barriers between these different groups of people.
What does that do for the religions themselves? I mean, especially when they see themselves reflected in the engagement of other people?
Exactly. I think we're always afraid of what we don't know. And the idea here is if we can get people to a Christian speaking to a Jew, to a Muslim, and vice versa, or someone of a different ethnic background, a recently arrived Spanish-speaking person, it really breaks the barriers, the stereotypes that we may have about different people, and makes us realize that we're all in the same boat in this world, in this society, and that we can work together for change.
This is BNN News. We're talking with Father Peter Gyves from A Faith That Does Justice. Father, I guess another thing here is it's not just about religions as institutions, it's about the individual trying to live out their faith in some full fashion. Volunteering in these efforts, for example, is that important for them?
It's extremely important for us. We have our program is entirely volunteer run or driven, and we have volunteers, a core group of volunteers that help us on a daily basis making this program go with 3 different components. One being living faith in action, small talks with 60 people at a group. We run these 4 big community meetings, which will happen tomorrow night, where we can get up to 200 people at them from different parts of the city, different backgrounds. And then we run what is called now an English for Speakers of Other Languages, ESOL. Well, it's volunteer driven. We have volunteers who offer the program, and we invite people who have recently arrived into this country without adequate English skills to be involved and take the English level program so that we can raise their English speaking language to a level where we can then try to help them find jobs through a collaboration we have now with Jewish Volunteer Services.
I took part in a program like this many years ago, and one of the things I found out about it is not just that people increase their language skills, but there's a conversation going on. That's important.
Absolutely. And again, I think it's a way to break down barriers. You know, most of our volunteers would be white, reasonably or highly educated people. Most of the people taking the program would have much lesser education and are recently arrived. So again, what it does is break barriers and allow us to understand each other at different levels. Very effective.
By the way, if you think back to the first meeting in San Diego, what happened there that gave you the sense of promise for what you're doing here?
Yeah, well, what surprised me in San Diego is that we continued to grow. We started out with 10 or 15 people, and over a year and a half in San Diego, meetings out there went to about 130 people. And it was at that point I was asked to bring the program to Boston because of its larger opportunity. There's more different cultures, different languages here in Boston than there would be in San Diego. There's more of an opportunity. And I think what we found here is that we're offering something in a society in turmoil or in crisis. And many times people will thank us and just say, you're giving me an opportunity to really live my faith in action in the world.
Well, you have a panel of strong local and national expertise here, and we should let people know who's going to be on it and when this is happening tomorrow night.
Yeah, tomorrow night it'll be at the downtown Marriott Courtyard Hotel, which is 275 Tremont. And we have an incredible panel. We have Barry Schrage, a Jewish man who is a professor at the Hornstein Jewish Leadership Program at Brandeis University. We have Reverend June Cooper, a Baptist theologian at Old South Church, and also the director of City Mission in Boston, sorry. And then we also have a friend coming in from San Diego, an Imam Taha Hussein, who will present a Muslim perspective on why do Muslims work for justice. And the meeting will be coordinated by Reverend Brian Hare, who is a priest of the Archdiocese of Boston and also holds a position at the Harvard Kennedy School of Government.
Of course, we all remember the director of City Mission, June Cooper. And thank you very much for being with us.
Well, thank you for having me. We look forward to hopefully people coming tomorrow. And can I mention it?
Oh, absolutely. You've got a website that people
If
should
we
check
have a
out.
website, if you'd be willing to check that out, you can pre-register for the meeting, and it's faith-justice.org. We'd love to have you there.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you very much.
Father Peter Gyves will have more news in just a moment.